What's up, guys? How's it going? Sean French here with another episode of the podcast, The Determined Society. Well, before we get started, I want to ask you guys to share this episode. If you liked it, if you got something out of it, and you think somebody else can too, share it to your stories, your social media platforms, call your homies, tell them all about it. So, I want to talk about something today that I think is very, very important to explore and to get out there. Falling off track, right? Who falls off track? Literally everybody. Okay, I'm sorry. There's times where I don't care who you are, you're going to fall off track. You may not fall off track in the gym. That may be one of the things that you truly love to do every single day, but you might succumb to maybe, a night out drinking or, having your favorite food or, you know, late night snack, maybe even some chocolate. Listen, I am no different than anybody. There are a lot of times where I can fall off track. And it's typically when I lose focus of what it is exactly I'm looking to accomplish. Listen, the problem with falling off track is that there's a lot of shame that the public wants to place on you for falling off track or some self inflicted shame. Look, guys and girls, if you fall off track, so what? You can get right back on track the very next decision. Meaning, if you have a meal that is outside of your plan, all you have to do is the very next meal you have, make it as nutritional as possible, right? If you miss a day in the gym because life gets in the way, something happens, or you just need time for you that day and you don't feel like going to the gym because you know what? At that point, it's not about mental toughness. It's just something that you need for you just to do nothing that day. Then listen to your body, listen to your mind. And honestly, don't beat yourself up over it, right? So then the next day, you wake up, you feel energized, you go do your workout, you do all those things that you normally do. It's called balance, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know there's a lot of programs out there that focus on being perfect on a day-to-day basis. 75 Hard is one of them. I'm a big proponent of that program. I love the program. I'm doing it again right now. Recently failed on day 6, had to start over from day one. To day one. And I immediately shamed myself. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get my second workout in. Or, I had something that wasn't on my diet plan. That's on me. You know, I have to acknowledge the fact that I made a decision. I decided to quote unquote fail the program and start over, right? And taking that responsibility is huge when you fall off track because that's going to give you the most position of power, right? You feel empowered in that moment because you know it was your decision. So with that being said, you know that the very next decision is yours to make or not to, right? So what I want to chat about briefly is when you fall off track, it's super important not to fall down that rabbit hole of binging and going more and more off the track and you're all the way in the weeds because I've done that too, right? I'm no different than anybody. I make a lot of good decisions when it comes to my health recently in the last couple of years, but then there are times within those moments, like maybe like 3 to 4 weeks at a time, sometimes where I'm not making the best decisions. The lifting weights will never stop, but like I'll eat too much pizza or I'll do something, where I'll have a late night snack, and the next morning I feel terrible and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go to the gym later after work. And then that whole day, I'm making not the best food choices. So, what I'm doing in that point is stringing bad decisions together, back to back to back. And that's when you can kind of fall into this deeper shaming, self-shaming, or you can fall into a depression that way. So, quick tip, some pro tip, is that what they say? When you fall off track, the very next decision you make is very critical. Do you get back on track or do you continue to fall off the track and go into the weeds? Let's decide, right? If I decide to have a pizza, which I can't for the next 45 days, or 75 days, from that point on, it's like, okay, I had a piece of pizza. Do I beat myself up for it and then feel sorry for myself and then stuff my face full of bad food 3 hours later? Or am I going to get right back on the horse? So the key, guys, is getting right back on the horse. And if you have a food, a food item that is off your plan, then just get right back on, right? Because we know long term, the 80-20 rule is going to work, right? If you can be on 80% of the time and only 20%, having some treat meals or cheat meals, whatever you want to call them, it's okay. But, the thing I've seen a lot on social media when individuals are quote unquote failing programs, they're absolutely shaming the shit out of themselves. Like, I failed. I can't believe this. This is on me. I'm a loser. Blah, 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 blah. Like, guys, it's not about that. This shit's supposed to be fun. You have an opportunity every single day to make the most out of your body and your life. If you have an able body, that is something to be grateful for. I know plenty of people that had able bodies and they lost the use of their body in a boating accident or car accidents. And then they struggle daily to keep a positive mindset because, of course, they do, right? They've gone through a lot of adversity, a lot of pain, and a lot of loss. So when we have the opportunities and we have the body to do it, honor yourself. Go do something. I'm like way off on a tangent now. I apologize. I can do that sometimes. But it's just super important not to shame yourself publicly or even internally about something that you may have fallen short on, right? It's supposed to be fun. This whole journey of self-development, physical development, whatever it is you're shooting for, you're never going to find it if you, one, think there's a finish line, because there's never a finish line. You're going to get to your goal and then you're going to want more. And that's okay as long as you keep things in perspective. You should always want more for yourself, because if you can provide more for yourself, then you end up providing more for your family, right? And it all helps with the mentality on a day-to-day basis, right? So have fun with it. I mean, it's really hard to see people get so down on themselves. And honestly, it's hard for me when I get down on myself because it just puts me in a bad mood. And you know who suffers? My kids, my wife, because I'm mad at myself, right? Because I'm going against what my core beliefs say. My core beliefs say, stay on track with your nutrition, work your body as hard as possible, read good things, do good things. When I get off track, it creates a conflict within inside me. So my advice to everybody is, if you're shooting to do a program, 75 hard or whatever it is, and you fall short on a day, it's all right. Start over, right? Because if you get to day 30 and something happens and you fail the program, your body doesn't start over on day one. Your progress doesn't start over on day one. Just your counting. All right. So let's really focus on moving on from quote unquote failure, right? Just get back on. Just don't think about it. Don't think, oh boy, here we go again, right? When we think that, and there's times where I've, like I said, I've failed 75 hard. I've completed it twice. I've failed it twice. Sorry, 3 times, right? So right now, I'm on my third. I'm going to complete it for my third time. That's the goal. That's what's going to happen, right? So I think it's really smart to keep things in perspective of day to day, decision by decision, minute by minute. The only day that matters for me is day 3. That's where I'm at, day 3 right now. I got to get through day 3, right? By making good decisions and proper planning. Whatever that means to you, you guys need to do, right? Just, we can't, it's just, it gets frustrating because I see so many people tear themselves down for falling off for the weekend or whatnot. And a lot of that is, if you look at Instagram and everything's going on right now, there's a lot of quote unquote perceived perfection. And so what we're doing as a public is we're chasing that perfection. And guys, we're never going to get it. There's no such thing as perfect, right? So while my message may be jumbled today, I may be going off in many tangents, I'm really passionate about this. I'm super passionate because I live it. And what I'm trying to convey to you guys to help you guys and give you guys some tricks to get back on track right away, I hold dear to my heart because I go through it. And I truly believe people want to hear from people that have a genuine story to tell. I've struggled with weight and not having the body I want my whole life. And I am determined to get that end result by the end of 2022. And if I can get there sooner, great. And then I got to maintain it. But I share that with you because throughout my whole life, I've gotten in great shape and then I backslid back into back shape. It's yo-yoing. It's really hard on your body. But more than anything, it's hard on your confidence. It's hard on your mind, right? So it's super important to understand that everybody you see on social media or every podcast you listen to, those are human beings and they struggle just like you. They are no different. They haven't cracked the code of adversity. They just know how to work through it, right? So when we feel the adversity, we have to accept it and we have to move in spite of that adversity. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're waking up every day and you don't feel like, well, I'm not going to go do this for work or I'm not going to go work out just because I don't want to, well, you're never going to reach your goals. And you're creating that self-fulfilling prophecy that you don't believe you deserve it. And yes, you do deserve it. You deserve everything you want. But the trick is to stay focused, understanding what the goal is, what the most important goal is, and every single decision you make has to match up with that end result goal. That's just the way it is. But you guys already knew that, right? Everybody knows that. It's just it's sometimes it's hard to, I guess, stay in line with. But more than anything, guys, that I want you to understand in this podcast is that this specific episode is that people fall off track. You're no different. I'm no different. But the trick is to get back on track right away, like immediately, and say, okay, the next time I eat or the next time I have a decision to make, whether I'm going to go work out or not, despite how I feel about it, I'm going to make the right choice that is in alignment with my end result goal. And you better have a big why behind it too. You better have a big why. So, one, have a big why. That should be number one. It has to be emotional. You have to feel it. It has to give you goosebumps, right? For me, I'm going to get very, very honest right now. For me, it's going to a beach or a pool party and not feeling insecure. I said it. Now all the 5 people that listen to this podcast know my insecurities. I hope there's more than 5 people that listen to this podcast. I have the analytics. It's a little bit more than 5. So share it, guys. Seriously, share this. Have a big why, and then to the next decision you make, decide to do what's going to support your goal. And then do that over and over and over again. And just get through that day. And at the end of the day, when you're sitting there on the couch, watching your Netflix or whatever it is, and you want to reach for that donut, you want to reach for that ice cream, ask yourself this: does it support my end result goal? And if the answer is no, then don't do it. That's with anything in your life. Is skipping work going to get you to your sales goal? Nope. So don't skip work. Go do it. Do the work, right? We're supposed to rest sometimes, but we got to earn that rest too, guys. All right. So listen, that's all I got today. I hope it was decent for y'all. Remember, if you fall off track, just get back on. All right, guys. I love you all. Talk to you soon.